going to start it, okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hi, everybody. We're the team from Planet A, or part of the team from Planet A, and we're doing our Q&A live stream today. Thank you very much for 500,000 subscribers, and that's why we thought that we made you a live stream now with our reporters Aditi and with Bea, and I'm Kio. So, in the beginning, who are we? Who the hell are we? Why are we answering your questions? Let's start with Aditi. So Aditi, I would say, well, has done so many reports for us. I don't know how many.
I also don't know how many.
Like 20 plus?
No.
Really?
Like 15 maybe?
Yeah, okay, a lot.
Yeah, a lot.
And I like to think she focuses on human-centered stories. I don't know what you think about that, but those are the ones that I remember. They're very, very nice. Tell everybody something about yourself.
This is a very difficult question, I don't know why. But I am Aditi, I'm a climate reporter at Deutsche Welle. I mostly work on Planet A with these guys. I'm from India. And yeah, when you said today that I focus on human stories, I think I never realized that, but actually it's true. I really, yeah, better than I know myself. I really love working with people, and I really love hearing stories and telling stories and thinking about climate change and how the stories can be told around climate change. And yeah.
And you do a lot of on-the-ground reports from India as well.
Yeah, I do. And I just came back from Copenhagen last week, which is where I've done my most recent report about, well, you have to wait to see. I think it's out in next week or the week after. But yeah, I love, I actually used to hate being on camera, but you pushed me to be on camera. So now I'm just kind of...
You're so good on camera.
Yeah, thank you. I really hated it in the beginning. I think it was one of the most stressful things I've ever done. But now I'm like, oh, I look amazing. That's not true. I never think that.
That's a lie.
But no,
you
it's
do
a lie.
think that.
Yeah. Sometimes.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Good job. Okay, and Bea, she's our most recent addition. You've done stories on Germany, also on the Amazon, Brazil. Why did you focus on Brazil? Yeah. What did you do before?
As you can see, I'm half German, half Brazilian, so I just did my first two pieces on my two nations and what they're doing wrong/right when it comes to the climate. So yeah, I'm German Brazilian, and I've been with DW for 4 years now. But before that, I was kind of all over the place. But one of my favorite things was to cover Brazil. I was in Rio and I was covering politics, but also some stuff with the Amazon, and I kind of continued that at DW. And yeah, so at Planet A, I started kind of with the Amazon, and then after I was done looking into my own countries also, I figured that maybe I wasn't super into more technical solutions, but then yeah, when you kind of end up researching these topics, it's fun to go down these rabbit holes and find other things that are interesting. Yeah.
Nice. And I'm Kio, and I'm the lead of the Planet A channel.
She's the boss.
We've been doing this for 3 years, I think, almost. And I started out as a business reporter, but I realized that I kept just doing environmental stories. I'm not going to say business is boring, but I think environmental stories are more engaging.
And they're also connected, actually.
They are.
Always, yeah.
I do a lot of corporate bashing. I do a lot of I like to criticize companies.
You do.
And that's my background kind of helps with that. So that's why we're here today. And after this, we're going to have about 15 to 20 minutes, and then we're going to switch, and then we're going to talk to our other reporter, Tatiana, who's off there in the back, so that we don't see her reflection, but she's there. And then we're going to talk also a bit more about YouTube Shorts, also TikTok, because we launched that about a year ago. Please subscribe there as well and watch our YouTube Shorts as well. Thank you. Good. Okay. So let's go into the questions. Yes. Username JB5422 asks, how do you manage to not get overwhelmed by these potentially world-ending problems and your not world-ending private problems? Yeah, that's true.
Sometimes I feel like my private problems are also world ending.
I feel like, yeah, they feel a bit more real sometimes.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
You want to go first?
I mean, I'd say what helps me with Planet A is just that because it is so solution-based, it is almost like a break from a lot of the doom and gloom that I do otherwise in the environment department. Like, not that we don't also cover solutions there, but here it's like we kind of center the solution. And then it's like this moment of excitement of like, oh, people are working on something cool and it's possibly going well. And then especially when you talk to the interviewees, right, and they're so excited about it, then it's like such a relief from like all this horrible stuff that maybe I talked about in the morning meeting. But yeah, not gonna lie, like it can sometimes creep in. And I think that sometimes, like working on it so intensely also rubs off on you in the sense that like the way you think about some personal things, it's like way more present when you like work on it.
Totally.
Yeah. What do you do?
I don't know. I think it depends on like what cycle or what phase of the cycle you're in. So like, or what topic you're researching. So I feel like, yeah, sometimes when you look at solutions, I'm often like, I can even be elated sometimes with like, when you talk to people who are like really excited about something, especially when you talk to people who work in like renewable energy and they talk about how like the price of solar has come down and this is like such a great success for us and like the hope for humanity and stuff, and that rubs off on you, and then I totally pick up on it and then I'm like, oh, you know, like
it makes your day.
But maybe not that extreme, but like it's, you feel like, you can be a part of something that's like wonderful, and then you talk to like, I don't know, a plastics researcher or someone working with like, I don't know.
And then it dampens a little bit. You get a little reality check.
Yeah, when you talk about lobbies or like policies or like bureaucracy, I don't know, even like looking at IPCC reports and stuff like that, you just feel like, it's really, really overwhelming. And then, I think I get really down in the dumps spot, and then I just call you, and then we cry about the world sometimes. But
Spiral.
It really goes into a spiral. But I think like being, and maybe you think the same, like being a climate reporter helps because you kind of feel like you're kind of part of the solution. If there is a solution or whatever it is, you're kind of part of some, like a movement that's bringing something positive. And that's like a base level of way to deal with it. But then also then distracting yourself really helps, like by, I don't know, drinking. No, too much. Don't do that. I mean water. No, I mean just like doing something completely different that doesn't have anything to do with climate change, like drinking water.
Whether alcohol is bad for the environment.
No, we won't do that story.
No.
Our blind spot.
Yeah. No, but I think also, as you said, the only thing that kind of keeps me sane is what I keep saying, is kind of knowing that you're part of something that may help. It doesn't mean that we're like changing the world in a big way, but I think this is also the same for everybody else who may be out there and feeling like this. If you can make, even if it's small changes, like if you feel like you're doing something against it, I think for me that's kind of the only way to assuage the anxiety action. Because or else if you're just like frozen and basically you're just like, oh my God, we can't do anything, this is horrible, that just makes it worse. With private problems and like and job problems and everything.
Always in action,
So like getting out of the freeze and doing something in a way is kind of what helps me, I guess.
Definitely. And actually, I think before I used to always kind of be miserable because I thought that like, if I'm happy, then that's kind of like going against the cause or something. I don't know if you felt like this as well. Like you can't feel happy in this time where the world is going through this terrible phase. But actually, I think like allowing yourself to feel joy and taking care of yourself and like taking care of your own mental health and stuff is a really big part of then feeling, well, you take care of yourself first and then you do whatever else it takes to help the people around you or like the planet. And all this abstract concept.
Okay. Taking that and going from there, another very, very fun question, and I think you're the right person to answer that, is from username Eurocamp. Are we doomed? You did exactly a video on that because I think you were very interested in that question. Yeah. I did not want to go there. I'm just like, I don't know. I don't want to. That's another coping strategy. Just ignore it. No, because you need to watch us, so please don't.
So what's the question? Are we doomed?
Are we doomed? I forgot.
Well, yeah, I did a report about this, like, I think it was in May, and I met this really interesting person who lives on a farm on his own in southern Germany and believes, like a lot of people in this community, that like there's no way out of this mess. And actually, I think talking to somebody like that, I really found myself in the opposite position, which is like having a lot of hope and like belief in like our ability to come out of this. But sometimes when I talk to people who are too optimistic, then I do feel like I take the more doomer position. So I really don't know how to answer that question. Yeah, because I think like there's such a big spectrum, and yeah, sometimes it does totally feel like that. And yeah, in relation to who you're talking to is one thing, but then also, it depends on like what you're reading at the moment and stuff. But to answer the question, I don't know the answer to that question.
Are you avoiding the question?
I'm just talking nonsense because I don't know.
So after all of the research you did, after the weeks and weeks you poured into it, the answer is we don't know.
The answer, I would say, like my answer in the piece is also, there's a lot we can do to prevent the absolute worst, this idea of the apocalypse or the end of the world. But at the same time, there is already a lot of really terrible stuff happening, and we need to do more. So yeah, in theory, I don't know, but again, different people have different perspectives, but I would say we're not doomed. But if we continue going down a very bad path that we are down now, and which could get worse, then potentially, yes.
I feel like the problem there is also if you then, with the climate doomers, and this was also part of the question, right, where it was like, if you then completely give up, and if you're just like, oh, you know what, I'm just going to do my own little thing in a way, or like I'm just going to shut myself off to the world because we're doomed anyway, that's also a very harmful narrative.
Definitely.
But yeah, I mean, obviously it's a scary thing that looms.
But actually working in the environment department, like, okay, it sensitized me to a lot of the things that are going wrong and that we need to pay attention to. But it was also kind of a relief to talk to experts and be like, okay, if we don't meet this target, it's not like the world will suddenly go up in flames because we didn't meet the target exactly. I mean, they're important, they're there for a reason. But it also gives me some hope to be like, okay, if we're not going to meet the target, let's get as close to it as possible because we can like minimize the damage.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of it is like, oh, if we don't do 1.5 degrees, if we don't do, if we go to 2 degrees, then we're basically dead. It's like 1.5 was 0, or like 2.0, or like doom. And I think what's important there is like every decimal counts. Like even if we get to 1.7 instead of 1.8, or 2.1 instead of 2.0, like even that has huge consequences. So like it's not so black and white. It's not like, are we doomed or can we save this? It's like, well, we'll try it out.
Actually, I feel like this film, Don't Look Up, is a really bad representation of the climate crisis. And actually, it's so linked to like how it's meant to be about climate change. Yeah, but actually, they, I think, promote this like whole doom agenda because it's like
nothing.
Yeah, because like the asteroid is coming, and that means it's the end. But actually, we don't have an asteroid coming. We just have maybe like tiny comets or something that's like, yeah, I don't know. That's an example.
And other catastrophes.
Exactly, that we can like. Yeah, as you said, like every 10th of a degree does count, and you can do like small things to stop the worst of the worst, or even the worst.
Okay, let's do something a bit more upbeat. Okay, Nathan Bennett asks, what is the piece that you created that you are most proud of as a team? Well, as a team is, interesting. What? No, I mean, of course we are a team. But let's say maybe, except for your own pieces, which piece did you like, or did you remember? Shall I start?
Yeah.
And then you can think? Okay, good. I think I really liked your pieces in India about water pollution and also the coal mining, because I think it was one of what's really hard for us to do as well is like we sit in the global north, obviously. A lot of the effects of climate change and pollution are going on in the global south. We're not there, and you were there for a longer extended time, and you could report from there, and there you could really see the impact that all of the destruction was having on the people. It was a very like human-centered piece, And we do a lot. What we like to do is also explainers. Of course, we like to break it down, all of that stuff. But that was kind of a change of pace where you're just like, oh, okay. And also looking at all of these landscapes. I mean, I also went to a coal mine last year in Germany. We do the same shit here. But it's just like seeing that is just so real, I feel like. And I really like those. Another one that I really liked that didn't do that well, I think, actually, was from our colleague Kai. He did a story about how, like, whether he could kill an animal.
I was going to say this one.
Yeah. That one was like...
It was really controversial.
It was very controversial. So to anybody who hasn't seen it, go watch it. It's a video where our reporter basically goes out and he says, well, I eat meat. People say, you know, you should be able to... If you're eating meat, you should be able to kill an animal. Like, is there an ethical way to kill an animal? Is there an ethical way or like a most sustainable way to eat meat? And he basically goes to this farmer and does the whole procedure. And it's very scary.
Yeah. It's really emotional and it's really like you feel like you're going through that process with them. Like I could never do that.
I mean, you're a vegetarian.
Big reason is because I could never do that.
Yeah, but that was very interesting because I think I still ate meat at that point, and I was just like, could I do that? I don't know.
And you think that piece changed you?
No. But I think in general it was. I think maybe I was vegetarian before, but it was just like super interesting to just see like. This is what killing an animal actually is about.
Yeah.
Did you think of something?
Yes. I was like listening to you. No, but I think to talk about some off-explainers, I also really like the one on cannabis because I feel like it's, first of all, it's like really hard when we do the off-explainers to make it visually appealing without being like on the ground and talking to people. And I thought that one was like, first of all, like visually like super appealing and like really nice to watch. But also it's just like interesting to see like, okay, it got totally like cannabis was so demonized before and it still is to a certain extent. And like not only looking at the health aspect, but then going into like how can we use it for things that can help us with our emissions and stuff like hempcrete. Yeah, I thought that one was really fun to watch.
Nice. Yeah, that's one of our biggest problems is if we do off-explainers, how do we... Off-explainers as in like we're not on camera. So it's all either footage that we have like stock footage or pictures that we researched or all of that stuff. And it's kind of hard obviously to make those interesting and entertaining for everybody and how to tell a story that's not just like, here is the problem, here's the solution. Is the solution good? Well, kinda. That's like what we try to avoid. Yeah. Okay, interesting. Okay, Pulsler ID is asking, are companies really changing or just greenwashing? So did you believe that big corporate like fashion industry, tech company, etc. really push their best part to reduce the effect of climate change with all of their resources, or is it just marketing? Big question.
I actually think it's both. I don't know what you guys think, but I think greenwashing is definitely a big part of it and a big part of the reason that companies do what they're doing. But I do think there's also a change in consciousness and maybe with more like Gen Z entering the market and like actually believing that climate change is real, first of all, and that we should do something about it. I do think there's like, that side of thing. And then also from consumers demanding change, I do think that a lot of people are having to change. But I still unfortunately think that the largest part of it probably comes from like having to hit targets or to greenwash.
Oh, 100%. Like I 100% believe that 98%, 95% of companies are not doing what they're doing if they're becoming more sustainable because they want to. It's because they have to.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And like that just, what we've been seeing in a way is kind of the change of consumer behavior as well, but also like if you could go into shareholder value and all of that stuff where financially it's going to hurt them not to be sustainable. And finally then they're like changing it. But yeah, greenwashing is rampant everywhere and all the time, and it makes me angry.
I feel like I am so much more cynical now than I ever was before. I mean, it might even be true sometimes, but my first instinct is to never trust any green marketing ever. And honestly, Google it. I mean, like, especially with the fashion industry, it's like famously the numbers are not there.
Yeah.
But at least give it a try, or look, who's the parent company here? Like, yeah.
And the thing is also, it's so complicated because like these words like sustainable and green and organic and like whatever vegan, like okay, vegan at least means something, but natural, like these words kind of don't mean anything, or in certain contexts maybe they do, but actually like many companies can just have it on their label, and even if they do mean something, it's so complicated to understand if natural is actually better than sustainable in this industry, in this part of the world, for this particular product, and like I think that's where it gets really complicated, and I think actually the research also doesn't exist.
Yeah, it's like I mean, I haven't really delved into this topic too much, but I know that whenever I have to, the first hurdle is like finding any numbers, any proof for what we're talking about. It's so hard.
And it's hard to prove. I want to do a series on like corporate greenwashing and all of that stuff. And it's so hard to prove them wrong because they know exactly what they're doing. So like their language is deliberately wishy-washy. They deliberately don't need to, put it on their labels or whatever. And like as soon as you say something against them, they can sue you. So it's insane. So all of the information that I could get were from NGOs or actual lawsuits, because if the lawsuits aren't there, you can't really say anything about it. And it's just, they know what they're doing. And that's just,
Because of good lawyers. Any lawyers out there, come on to this side.
Definitely. Okay. I think we have okay. Some of Just Stop Oil actions.
I saw it.
Okay.
So we did have an episode on that also.
Yes, we did. So this is the last question with the three of us, and then after that we'll switch to Tatiana. Okay, so Just Stop Oil protest. Jizwiz asks, honest opinions on some of Just Stop Oil actions. Personally, I think that they are damaging the positive view of climate action as the people they talking to dislike them more and more. Yeah, we have the same discussion in Germany a lot with Letzte Generation. They are also a big group that have basically been throwing paint at a lot of buildings. Actually, even the Brandenburger Tor, which is like the monument in Berlin. And people have been angry, really angry, and blocking roads by gluing themselves to things. So this is a huge, huge discussion. Who wants to start? It's very hard.
It is hard. I mean, all I know is that I don't know if my personal opinion matters at all, but like I know that talking to one of the engagement editors at DW, she was saying that at least, I mean, it's not representative of like the whole population, but she just said that even among our viewers, oftentimes people are just so angry about it, and it gets them kind of to oppose the cause in a way. But I don't know, like personally, I feel like whenever they do it in Berlin, like when they glue themselves to the street or whatever, since I'm never in a car ever, I don't even like notice it. It literally doesn't even it doesn't make any difference in my day-to-day at all, because I am so rarely in a car.
But that's also because you're not the target audience.
Yeah, I know, and I feel like probably if I would probably be really angry.
If you're a 50-year-old person in a car driving to work.
Yeah, and honestly, if it interrupted my day-to-day, I probably would be, feeling maybe a bit different about it, but I also think it is so important I don't know, is the answer.
Totally.
Yeah.
I think my opinions, in the beginning, I was like, exactly like this. I'm just like, oh, it's hurting the cause. Like, why are you doing it? Especially the first, things when they started blocking off stuff a few years ago. Now, especially after go watch the video. We did an in-depth video about this. Like, are extreme radical climate protests basically hurting us? And there was a really, really good example of like every protest form in order to change something has to be radical and disruptive. Mm-hmm. For example, they were talking about the women's rights movement, or they were also talking about racist systems in the US, and also apartheid regime. And in a way, it's hard. Of course, it's disruptive, and of course, it can go against people, and it's really hard. But I think in a way, it's also, we're talking about it. We're sitting here talking about it. And in the news, it's all the time in the news. And I feel like that is worth a lot. It's hard.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I guess I feel the same, except I think like deep down, I really have a lot of respect for like disruptors and activists and like people who go out on the street and like sacrifice their day or their life also for freedom.
They've been like
And-
kicked, dragged away, everything.
in jail and
It's-
stuff. So yeah, if you're that passionate, then I fully support it. But yeah, at the same time, I completely understand like antagonizing yourself and the cause, and I fully support it at the same time.
Yeah, every movement started with antagonizing someone until it becomes more normalized. You just gotta jumpstart it somehow. But I guess we'll see in 50 years how that panned out.
Totally.
If we
it's
survive,
hard.
if we're not doomed in 50 years.
Yeah, if we're still alive in 50 years, we'll let you know what happened.
Okay, then thank you very much. Thank you, Bea.
Thank you.
Aditi.
And thank you all for watching.
Yeah.
Thank you for watching. Thank you for your questions. We're not done yet. We're just switching. We're moving the chairs around. So stay tuned and please ask us more questions.
Yes. Bye.
Good. Woo. I'll sit here for a change. Tatiana is getting mic'd up. Yeah, underneath. I think you can hear. Flo, our camera person who's behind the camera, is just helping us. Thank you very much, Flo. And next to us is Julia, who is our community and channel manager. So if you've ever, she's giving us the questions. If you have ever commented on our channel, it's likely that she has answered your questions professionally, well researched. Okay.
Okay.
Hello,
Well,
hello.
Hello. I thought
Hi,
this would be
Tatiana.
the biggest challenge to climb to climb this chair when you're a short person.
So, hello.
Hello.
Tatiana is a reporter for Planet A and is also the lead of the TikTok channel. So go over on TikTok. We've been on TikTok for a year now.
Almost a year.
Almost a year. Oh yeah, it was end of October. Oh yeah, so another anniversary is coming up. And yeah, we're also putting the videos that we have on TikTok on our YouTube Shorts, which have been climbing in popularity. Our TikTok channel is also doing really well. So please help us.
Please subscribe.
Yeah, please subscribe.
Planet A on TikTok as
Yeah.
well. We are not 500,000 subscribers yet, but you know,
Soon.
after this live,
Yeah.
we do hope to gain some more followers. And yeah, in a couple of weeks we will turn 1 year anniversary
Yes.
on TikTok.
Okay, so tell us more about you. What do you do? What are you interested in? Why vertical video?
Oh well.
I love
Oh
the
well,
question.
where to start? Yeah, so I've been with DW for around 4 years. And before I worked for a magazine, actually. I don't know if people watching us still read magazines, but that's my background. I was never really a news journalist. I was working for European version of National Geographic, which is Geo magazine. That's basically my background. So I always loved visuals and strong photography. And I think that's where this environmental kind of interest also popped up, because Geo magazine still has, I mean, it does not exist in my home country anymore, which is Russia. But the magazine always had focus on environment as well. And I think that's where this combination of like storytelling and environment came in place. And then when I joined DW, I always liked social media. I think social media is like a new tool, a new language, the different level of being authentic and, you know, talking to your audience directly. So yeah, that's, I think, where this like, you know, merchants, this cohesion started this path led me to where I am today. And I think the reason, we spoke about it a lot in the team as well, the reason why I think TikTok exploded at some point is because the people were just people there, you know, like the channels and creators gave this level, this very strong relatability, and they're so authentic creators on the platform. Now the platform is a little bit changing. We could also talk about it.
I feel like it's the same with YouTube. It used to be like that on YouTube kind of as well, where people were just super authentic, who didn't have a platform elsewhere. on like traditional TV, and then they would come onto YouTube, and it would be very authentic. And it's now professionalized. Hello. Then the news people came in. No, but I think that's what's happening to TikTok as well.
For
it's
sure.
so much more professional.
For sure, and
Same,
also
yeah.
the level of production that you observe. I mean, we used to see this shaky, videos just filmed somewhere, people in people's apartment and stuff, like very low quality in terms of production, sometimes even without mics and stuff. But now you see graphics, you see crazy video editing, you see, very polished picture. And so I think it's changing in the same direction, in the same way how YouTube changed.
Yes. Much faster.
Much faster.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
with TikTok everything is
Yeah, like 10 times.
much faster.
Definitely. Okay, let's get to the questions. Here we go. Okay. So from JB5422, do you sometimes feel like those fun is evil type of preachers were right for the wrong reasons? As in, basically how I understand this question is anything that we do that is kind of fun in a way is also bad for the environment. I think that's kind of how people were perceived, especially environmentalists in the beginning were perceived. They were like, oh, you're going to take away my steak, you're going to do this, you're going to do that. How do you deal with that in a way, in an everyday context? Because it's true, a lot of things that are fun are really bad for the environment.
We had this discussion this summer. I work for environment team at DW, the same as Bea, and IDT as well. And I remember we were talking about music festivals, and all the plastic pollution, all the trash that's being produced during this very short period of time. It's like it's a little town that functions for 3 days, and then everyone just leaves. So, but you have all this leftovers from the festivals, and then we were like, okay, so it seems like everything that is fun is not good for the environment. I mean, yes and no. I feel like it depends how you look at things, and personally, I guess there is a balance, or let's say I look into things that are in my control in a way, and some things that I could change. For example, again, when I was growing up in Russia, we used to take trains all the time because planes were not affordable. I was born in the far north, so going from A to B would take you 2 days, 2 days and a half, whatever. And that's like, it was part of the journey, you would prepare food, you would gather with some relatives or friends who would go on holidays at the same time. You would, it's like the whole life that you live on the train for 2 days. And that was just part of the habit. So for me, for instance, when I moved to Europe, taking all the low-cost flights and planes here and there, I enjoyed it for a little bit because it was so affordable. Of course, it's like, oh my God, I could go from A to B in 1 hour.
Remember those times?
For 20 euro.
Yeah, 5 euros.
But now it's like, I think the peak already passed, and like, okay, I enjoyed it, but then I was asking myself, do I still like it in a way, If taking a train is better, then why not taking a train? And now I observe that these night trains are back. Bea and me, we took a train to Budapest, like super easy. And again, part of the journey that you do when you travel. Yeah, I think that's one thing that I keep in mind when I make my travel choices. The food, I stopped eating meat when I was 14, so that's like a long time ago. So something that's in my control, that's I think what helps to see, okay, what would I like to do, what kind of balance I could have in my own life, like personal responsibility in a way.
Yeah, you also kind of have to reframe what like fun means. Like does fun mean like a weekend trip to, I don't know, Sicily, and then coming back and like flying both ways? Or is fun eating, I don't know, I really like eating meat, like I love meat, it's really bad. That's one thing where I'm just like, it's so fun, I just love it so much. Don't they be all here looking at me? Because it's very bad. But it's kind of like reframing it, and in a way it also helps you. If you think about it, you're just like, oh, actually it's a new way to, I don't know, learn recipes, I don't know, try new places, things like that. It's still hard. I think most of the time I kind of block it out, and I'm just like, well, I don't have to be perfect 100% all of the time. Nobody is. But like, if you're, I don't know, if you're 60% sustainable 100% of the time, that's better than like basically always wanting to be perfect for all of the time and then giving up, or I don't know, just freezing and not being able to do anything anymore because you feel like it's all bad for the environment. I mean, breathing is bad for the environment. If we thought like this, I mean, we should just moving, existing, drinking water. So yeah, you kind of need to reframe what that means, I think. It's hard though.
It's hard though, but then, I mean, if we do change this definition of fun, like, for example, take, I don't know, fashion, or like definition of fun, but also definition of success and all those things, you know, does it have to be, do we need to have materialistic side to all these things, or could it be something else? And for example, you spoke about fashion a little bit in the first part of life, of life, of the life event. And I think there are lots of changes that we could observe, like that people, you know, have more fun fixing clothes or more fun refurbishing. And then again, on TikTok, you do see all these accounts where people just do a little thing, refurbishing, you know, sewing things together, and it looks amazing.
Oh, these insane accounts that like clean these really old machines and bring back to life and stuff.
Oh, that's very niche.
Yeah, it is. No, actually, they have like 1 million likes. But I think it's coming back.
It's
that
there.
Kind of,
it's certainly there.
Yeah. I mean, it's coming. Yeah, my grandma used to just live
that's
like
what
that.
My grandma still does it.
Yeah,
like
true,
mending clothes and fixing. And I even know how to do some of those things. Fun.
That's for sure. Okay, I'm just looking for another question here.
The short one is.
The short one, yes. So Manzil Pa asks, what are your sources of research?
I mean, I would say that we follow the same, like very often when you talk to journalists who are maybe a little bit older, come from a different background, they always say like, oh, TikTok is not serious, like it's not journalism, but the basic are the same, you know? We also spoke about it, the sources are the key. And we also have a fact checker that has basically the full shift for a fact checker who checks our sources, and the rules of the game are the same as in a standard journalistic article, looking to primarily sources, looking into scientific articles, looking into reports, always searching for primary source. This, I would say, the basic of our research, which is not different from any other form of journalism.
I find it interesting that right now, because I'm watching so much short form content, whether it's also or like YouTube videos, a lot of my ideas for stories can come from, for example, TikTok videos, or can come on from like a post on Instagram or whatever it is. And then that's not the source of the information as such, but I'm just like, oh, interesting. And then you go further down. I mean, obviously we look at all of the reports that the IPCC brings out. We have a lot. I think in Germany we do a really good, we have a lot of information on like from the state government agencies as well. Obviously, you know, yeah, we go there as well. I think what's also super interesting is we need to really learn how to read reports and scientific reports. That's really hard. I think because also a lot of the times, you know, you don't know, there are like 5 papers, which one is the correct one? That's really hard. I think also what we profit off of each other is that we also have a lot of longer form videos that we have that are like, I don't know, 15 minutes. And then we break it down for TikTok as well. So the research is there. Yeah, it's kind of sad sometimes when you're literally like, oh, you did a 15-minute video and then we can make 2 TikToks out of it, which is like 35 seconds each. And you're just like, oh, okay. But to be able to break it down that well, I think you need a really deep research, because or else you're just going to get things wrong. Yeah, that's our sources.
And also I think on TikTok, where you do have a very high level of skepticism and also lots of conspiracy theories circling on the platform, which is insane. I think I could like build a collection of conspiracy theories that I see in the comments. Just also making sources transparent, I think, helps to build this trust with the audience. Just mentioning the sources on screen, sometimes we do that.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, that was some passion coming out from me for good sources. No, and also in the comments, sometimes when people ask, where did you get this number from, or where did you get this report from, we would always answer. Yeah. And this engagement with the audience, I think, something that makes our TikTok account in that regard, yeah, transparent and reliable. If you ask for the source, we would always give you the source.
It's the same for YouTube videos. When you have the description box, a lot of the time we just have links about what we talked about, and also if you have a specific question about where a specific source, you know, number is from, we usually have it down, if you can't see it really that well, but it's on the bottom left part, bottom right part, and then you can also ask us in the comments. Then our community management will help us. Okay, I think we can wrap up soon. Last question. Do you think people can help? If yes, then how? Okay. Okay, so Chandrasekharan asks, do you think people consuming less can help in the fight against climate change? If yes, then how would countries respond to that? Does basically individual action change anything is kind of the big question, I think, there. In less, I think so, because I do think that the way, what we talked about before also in the live kind of about how consuming or changing your consumer behavior is also changing what companies are doing, definitely. It is a lot, I think. It's not the only thing that changes things, but consuming less in general is always a good idea.
For sure. But also, I think like even asking yourself, do you need this T-shirt while you already have 25 of them? I mean, I have sweaters since I was like 15. Of course, if I change in size, then I would need to get a new one. But otherwise, I think just, seeing the value in things that we have around us, that's also something that would help to to decrease the amount of stuff we have. And I think that's about fashion, that's about having new mobile phone. Every time, when Apple releases new iPhone, and then I see these pictures of the crowd. I mean, I'm not judging if you're one of those people, all good, I accept you. But when I see those crowds lining up, queuing for a new iPhone model, this to me, like, okay, why is that such value to have this new model? Especially
the
from
hedonistic treadmill.
But I mean, also, of course, like taking people who are into all this and they want to test and see whatever. I understand that side too, but just personally, if you ask for my personal opinion, that's where I ask myself, if I have already 3 phones somewhere laying in my closet, if I have the closet of clothes falling out in my bedroom, that's probably a sign that maybe I don't need more. And then the quality, I guess, as well. Like when you care for things and you try to get things that would last a little bit longer. These are really the basics. We always repeat them, I think, left and right, but they do make a change.
I do think so. I think what's going to be really interesting is the second part of the question. What is that going to do to companies and what is that going to do to governments? Because obviously we have a whole growth mindset. We want the GDP to grow. Companies have targets, all that stuff. Just today I saw like an ad for sustainable phone cases. And then they were like, hey, if you buy 2, you get 2 more free. And I'm just like, is that where you want to go? Like, I want 1 phone case, I don't want 4. And I just find that super interesting, just like the whole concept of if you have a sustainable product, but you really still want to sell it. The whole thing is so interesting to me because basically the best thing if you are sustainable is just not to produce more shit that people don't need. But if you exist as a company, it's the same as governments, right? Like you want that growth. And I think we have another whole video, also watch it on it, about degrowth, where like...
And TikTok too.
Like how can we measure a country's prosperity and success not only through the GDP, because if we start consuming less or if we continue on consuming less and less, that's going to have to change. Same for companies as well. Like what kind of targets are you then making? Or maybe, companies die away that make stuff that people don't really need or make too much of the stuff. At least I hope so, because it's just too much right now. Yeah, I think we're at the 43-minute mark. I think that's all of the questions that we can take right now. But if you have more, especially if you have ideas of, questions that you have that could maybe be made into videos, some topics that you would want to suggest, something like that, please let us know in the comments, also in the comments of the videos. Follow us subscribe to us. Follow us everywhere. We only have TikTok and YouTube. I guess you're on YouTube already. Go to TikTok as well. Thank you very much, everybody, for the live stream and for watching us. And please, keep on being loyal to us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye. Are we off? Good. Thank you very much.